Welcome into this episode of How to Ride a Roller Coaster. I'm David Ezell, and tonight I'm joined by Mr. Steve Liang. He is the founder of Real Estate IQ, a company that helps all of those in real estate build their business even bigger. How's it going?
Good, good. Thank you, David, for having me.
Yeah, my friend.
Always
It's I'm good as well, and it feels like it's been too long since my path has crossed with yours.
yeah.
We used to see each other a little bit more frequently, but with COVID and kids under 4 years old, that takes up all of our time. So, yeah, man, everything's good.
The new dad, the pain of the new dad.
The pain and the sleepless nights of the
Yeah.
new dad, the new parent.
And the
Yeah,
joy
man.
too. I just want to throw it out there. It's also very joyful.
So yeah, so much. So how is that? I mean, we were talking a little bit before we started, and yours is what, 7 months, just past that
Yeah.
6 month threshold.
Yeah, we have a young one at 7 months, and we were. I think the first couple of months it was tough. I might have told you, David. I was trying to practice this Uberman lifestyle because babies wake up every 3 hours, 2 to 3 hours. So the Uberman, you wake up every 3 hours and you sleep 20 minutes in that 3 hour interval.
Whoa,
I was able to do it except for the last couple of like kind of the midnight shift. I fall asleep. Like
you're done
there
on
was
that
no
one.
way.
Yeah,
I threw a white flag. And apparently there's a style like that too for the people that couldn't do it, like me.
man. I remember when our son, when he was, I don't know, I guess 6 months, something like that, maybe a little bit older, 6 or 8 months. Myself, my wife, and my mother-in-law and my mom, when she would come in town, we would do the every 3 hour intervals. So we would get him down to bed and we'd say, okay, you've got the midnight, you've got the 3, you've got the 6 a.m. And it was almost like drawing the shortest stick. I was like, okay, I'll take midnight because I know after midnight I can go to sleep. But yeah, that 3 a.m. one, that was the one that always nobody wanted to draw that stick.
The graveyard shift, man.
That's it. That's
I,
it.
I remember, I just want to share with you that I used to work in manufacturing at my corporate job. And I remember, you schedule the first shift, second shift, and then you have a third shift, and they work less hours or something, I remember. And that's a tough lifestyle. I never thought I would have to
Yes.
go through that. And then here we are.
Working the night shift again. Yeah.
We appreciate the
Heck yeah.
night shift people.
Heck yes. Well, yeah. So let's talk about real estate IQ. So let's just jump right in there where you were talking about manufacturing. Did real estate IQ come right after that?
Yeah, yeah. I would say, so I joined a rotational program, with Raytheon, which is a defense company. And, learned a lot from there for about 2 years. And then I settled in Dallas. And after that, I was like, man, I need to do something before I turn 30. Like, I've always wanted to try entrepreneurship. Like, this is my math. I go, if
Yeah.
I start when I'm 30, I'm going to give it 5 years. And if it doesn't work, I'm still 35 years old. Like, I can still be employable, I think. I have
I
my
like
backup
it.
plan.
I like it.
And then 5 year came and I was like, okay, maybe I'm not employable anymore. Like, I think, I have to continue to go and keep on this path, like keep growing.
Heck yeah. So what was really the jumping point from Raytheon to starting real estate IQ? What was that? Tell me about what you were thinking to yourself, turning 30, jumping into your own new thing, no kids yet. What did that feel like?
I think I was ready. I felt like I was ready to take risk.
Yeah.
And I think I was kind of preparing for it. I was kind of foreseeing myself as an entrepreneur. I wanted to, I don't think I'm very good at the corporate environment. And so I kind of, for a while, I just kind of set up my mind, like, hey, I gotta get ready, for doing this. And, I was quite prepared. I did some self-study on an MBA course. I got some books from my sister. I guess that was just the time. I remember every 30 days or 90 days, you're supposed to change your password. And I was like,
Yep.
blah, blah, 1, blah, blah, 2, blah, blah, 3. And then after a while, I'm like, okay, I think the universe is telling me I'm running out of numbers.
Running out of numbers. That's it. That's it. So what made you go into real estate? Was there already that kind of pull in that direction, or was it something else?
Yeah, yeah. So, I grew up in China, and I think as a kid, there's something about just even raw land, because it can be farmland, and it's
Sure.
a income producing kind of asset. So I think I always, really love real estate as an asset class. I think there is a lot. It just feels like there's a lot of stability there, and also I learned from a builder friend that in real estate, every 20 years, real estate doubles.
Wow.
For whatever factor, right? We're witnessing history right now, but the sheer number is gonna double on average.
Every
And
20
so if you're in
years.
the
Wow.
yeah, so
Okay.
that's about 3.6% appreciation rate. Then that's on average, and on like in the cities or whatnot, if it's a higher appreciation area, it would be much higher than that.
Wow.
So we kind of know, we kind of went through that as, this pandemic happened, and a lot of real estate has risen a lot in value.
Did the pandemic really have an impact on real estate IQ, or was your business, was it a little bit more kind of already growing in the virtual space?
We make a big pivot. Thank you for that question, David. We made a big pivot because before we were doing a lot of event marketing that's in person. And when COVID happened, there's that goes away.
Yeah.
And fortunately, we already started some webinar operations.
Okay.
And so we were kind of testing out and kind of building that. And we were able to kind of just go, okay, we already know how to do webinars. Let's do it, but do it like really pay attention to doing that now. And so
Gotcha.
we were very fortunate that we had that in place.
Okay. And how many people are on your team right now?
We have 40 some people. And also, talking about the impact on COVID, I would say, I think, and I need to talk to more founders, right, to really get a good story. But at least for me, we see a lot of kind of level of uncertainty from just a whole everybody's psyche. Like I don't know about you. I think we should talk about it. I
Yeah,
felt fear during
for
the
sure.
pandemic. I felt a lot of different emotions that I didn't used to feel. And I also felt it within the culture too, the company culture. And I think from a culture standpoint, that was a pretty big hit.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, whether it was personal, whether it was business related, whether it was 9 to 5 job, corporate related, I think, like you said, everybody felt something a little bit different.
Yeah.
Our son was born at the end of January 2020. So like a month later, COVID is in full swing and
Yeah.
everything shuts down. We were living kind of in the Addison area of Dallas, and the street that was in front of our apartment, super busy street. It's the first time ever that we would look out our balcony and see that street, and it's just like they didn't even turn the lights on at night. I mean, there were no cars, no nothing. Everything was just shut down. So we have now this 1 month old at home that we, brought into the world, and the
Wow.
world shut down.
Congratulations.
So
Wow.
everything was
Oh,
just crazy. It was just so many overwhelming feelings from business. Will things get back to normal? How long is it going to take? I mean, what does the world look like? Because like you said, if you're in the events business, or if you're anything like that where you're used to dealing with people face to face, that kind of thing wasn't happening anymore. So yeah, I don't think people in general, especially entrepreneurs, have really done a good enough job of talking about what that was like back then and
yeah.
how they kind of made it through.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we should talk more about that. That sounds like
Yeah.
a very interesting. I will tune into it.
Yeah. No, yeah, I totally agree. More should be said about that.
We sit down, we drink coffee, we have coffee, we're like, okay, let's talk, let's get real. Let's talk about like back then. What was it like?
Yes. I mean, it's so much fear because especially on the entrepreneur side. So I've, been kind of running the Founders Live Dallas pitch event here in Dallas for the last like 5 years.
Yeah.
And all of that was in person. So
Right.
from an entrepreneur standpoint, now those opportunities to pitch in front of investors, to further their network connection, possibly raise money, those opportunities, not that they dried up, but it was just a state of uncertainty. And that's when you started to see all of these virtual pitch competitions and things like that. But I mean, for a little while, if you're right in the middle of trying to raise money and COVID happens, it's like, well, what do I do?
Yeah. So we what we also did, we raised money to put the infrastructure in place because I think we found product market fit. We had And the case in point is I was speaking to this mentor and I was sharing with them, hey, this is kind of our core product. And we were delivering that on Google Sheets.
Yeah.
That's it. We have other things, right? But that was kind of the main reason people buy. And it was just Google Sheets. I talk about the key definition of an MVP, a minimal viable product. You have no protection. Like people can share passwords.
Right.
People can share the links and all that stuff. But that was the reason people paid. And that gave us a lot of confidence to really invest into that piece and make that our core product.
So once you started Real Estate IQ, what was it like? Was it just you for a while, or did you have like contractors helping with other pieces, or what was it like before you started to hire people?
Yeah, so I have a co-founder also for Real Estate IQ, and his expertise is in real estate investments. So we kind of built that. The product that we sold ended up having quite a few pieces, and turns out that piece was more important. And I think he brought in a lot of the expertise in real estate investments. How do we cater that to clients? And so we had that kind of subject matter expert in-house. And we also have in the beginning we brought in interns. So yeah, thank you for asking this question. So
For sure.
In the beginning, we brought in some interns from UT Dallas. And these are business analyst type of interns. They were in grad school, actually. So we kind of started doing that just to build some marketing piece in place. And of course, when you work with an intern, you're training them most of the time.
Right.
The execution, you have to kind of start with it. And I guess, in retrospect, I gained a lot of experience just kind of working with an intern to begin with, right? Because the best person to work with to start on your leadership skills is with an intern.
Right.
I had in corporate, I was leading a team in a project before, but I think now you're kind of directly leading someone and not just the project. I think it's a little bit different.
For sure.
So after that, we decided there's I think for every kind of help or labor division or whatnot, there's always a limitation. I think it's either talent or the incentivization is not there 100%. So I think every hire, I'm always trying to fine tune. What's the thing that makes this person, that motivates this person, and so they would actually just kind of alignment of the goals.
Right.
So after interns, we realized that, kind of the hours is not as consistent enough. So we moved on to, I think we probably started by hiring either a part-time person or a full-time person, from the Philippines, so we were hiring virtual assistants.
And was that really kind of that next bridge? I mean, did you find more success doing that than you did maybe even getting local interns, but knowing that you're going to have to do a lot of hands-on in-person training?
Yeah. So what happens is we ended up going there just because it's a little bit, it's more economical
Sure.
to start. And I think when you're trying to hire out repetitive type of task, it's okay. You can train that pretty quickly. Now what we realize is that there's a depending on the salary range, the talent is also different. So you have different salary ranges that also kind of brought you different kind of candidates with different talents. And we also and then afterwards we kind of build a center in the Philippines, and then we also branch out to Argentina. And what we find is that in Argentina, because we're only 3 hours behind, they're working in our daytime.
Right.
So one lesson I learned is, before we were like, man, we're an American company. Everybody work to our hours. But when you're working graveyard shifts, cue the earlier topic, you're not as creative.
Right.
It's hard. It's tough.
Yeah.
And so we also kind of started to go, okay, you know what? It's better to have flex time. So have a team in the Philippines that can work relatively flex time. And then folks in Argentina, they are a little bit kind of in our daytime. They can do a little more kind of creative kind of work. I think their design is stronger and their kind of design thinking, user experience is stronger. So we're learning that every country has talent also. For the people that hire in the Mexico and all that.
Yeah, and that's super interesting. I wouldn't have thought of that just when it comes to maybe that production output based on how that time zone lines up with yours.
Yeah,
So that's super unique. Just how you guys can really manage those, knowing
right.
that one where the creative hours may not line up with the U.S. creative hours, but it works for them. How will it fit into our overall real estate IQ landscape so that projects don't hit a choking point
Right.
because of that? That's really interesting.
Correct. Yeah. It's how do we balance the productivity and performance, and also to me, productivity and creativity. Uh, I could be wrong. Could be a little bit separate department. Could be you can say it's the same. I think it's arguable.
Yeah.
But I think you need to have perhaps it's a different skill set. The creativity skill set and the execution skill set, project management is a little bit different. It uses different part of your brain.
No doubt. No doubt. I mean, and that's why, even like talking about the whole like remote workforce that COVID really kind of helped usher in.
Yeah.
It's what does that person and that skill set, when is the best time for them? Maybe you do have a creative, but they're not creative at 8:05 in the morning. Maybe they're creative at 6 p.m. or midnight. If
Yeah.
that's the case, then how can you build that into what you're doing and make sure that you can maximize their creativity when they have that creativity? Not saying, "Hey, I need you to be creative at 8:05 to 8:30
Correct.
because that's what fits me
Yeah.
the best."
And what I also learned is that the folks that are in the Philippines, they wanted to transition from there's a lot of folks that work from a call center, which is a pretty much graveyard shift.
Yeah.
And traffic takes a lot of time. So this allows them to work from home. They call it the work from home. I was like, is it remote work? Like, what is it? They say it's work from home. Work from home is the term. And it allows a lot of family obligation flexibility, which I appreciate a lot now. That, I have kids that I have to take care of, like having a
sure.
little bit of that time flexibility. As long as you get your work done, it doesn't matter where you're, I think that offers a lot of freedom, and I think also helps unlock the creativity and commitment and all that. I'm personally witnessing a very big cultural change as we embrace more of this remote culture and kind of putting the right infrastructure in place. So now we have an executive. What I learned is that after a while, I'm like, I don't love doing this. Like, I want to be creative. I'm kind of a creative guy.
Yeah.
And so I'll be very frank to share this. I'm kind of a rule breaker. You tell me not to do something, I inch towards it. Like,
Well, I
kind of
love
rebel.
that. I love that because we're supposed to have a lunch in a week or in a month. So I can't wait to see what rules I can get you to break.
I love breaking rules. And so when I'm the one, when I have the role to enforce the rule and the policy, it's a little bit of cognitive dissonance. Like my own person is saying like, no. And then my outer person is like, we got to do this.
Yeah.
So now we're able to offload that. Thank God. I'm a little more on the founder's role. And I think I was reading a lot about the career of a founder. And I think at this stage, what we do is we are the majority shareholder and a consultant for the company because we know the business the most. And maybe that's why you see all these books that I haven't read. I'm trying to learn better and become a better consultant. And then over time, I also start consulting for other businesses too. That's another story. I will digress from there.
So I know that you are a big reader. So if you could go back and tell yourself, one or two different things that would have been helpful so
Yeah.
that you wouldn't have had to maybe deal with certain ups and downs in those early days, what do you wish that you could go back and tell yourself 5 years ago when you first started?
David, that's very interesting. I have two thoughts. One is the answer for your question, And the other one, let me break the rule here a little bit.
You did tell me you're a rule breaker, so break
Yes.
away.
I just learned about this concept called just-in-time learning versus just-in-case learning. When we were going to school, I realized, I didn't like going to school. I was sitting in the back of the lecture hall and like falling asleep. But I still went to class. I don't know why. It makes no sense. Maybe just to make it feel good that I didn't skip class.
Right.
Because it was just-in-case learning. It was not practical.
Yeah.
So I feel like when the time comes and we really need to learn, we get to learn a lot faster. So I felt I'm a better learner now because of all the situations that now I go, oh, I got this problem I gotta solve. If I have time, let me learn about it. If not, let me hire somebody, and bring someone in to teach me, how to do it.
That's great.
So there's that. But to answer your question though, I think the biggest ups and downs for me was the people part. I study leadership, but then there's also, all this human nature. How do you interview the right people? So the first book I follow is called Who. It's by I think a hiring consulting firm, and they go very deep in their methodology. And we try to replicate that in house, and it was hard.
Yeah.
It's easy when you learn it and do it yourself, but when you start going like everybody needs, that was but that's another piece now. I'm going tangent again.
Is that one all about kind of practices and policies around making sure you're getting the right person?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's about hiring the right people, and there are multiple rounds, and what kind of questions should you be asking? So I thought from a basic standpoint, that it was fantastic. The first one, how do you save as much time as possible and screen out the folks that don't make sense? And kind of the second one is learning about their work experience, going line item by line item on their resume, and ask them. And what's interesting is it's about asking about inconsistency of their story. Looking for inconsistency on the candidate stories. And also, they say the A players, the high achievers, they are more objective, or like they have numbers. They show the numbers either on their resume or when they talk about their achievements. Whereas B or C players, they are kind of vague about what they have done. So there's some good takeaways that I would I want to read it again now.
That's super interesting. I just happen to be doing some research on, resume building and using the right verbiage, like when you're having those types of communications, whether you're hiring, whether you're looking for a position, whatever the case. And you're right. I mean, a lot of it really talks about it being metric driven. Instead of showing a task that you completed, show an outcome that you helped produce.
Correct.
So, because that's what people care about. Like if you're going to hire somebody for your team, you don't care that they, like you mentioned, did some repetitive task or had some other bulleted just an itemized list. You want to see that they grew production in the Southeast region by 21% year over year. Great. Let's talk more about that, because I want you to grow my production in the Southeast region 21% year over year or more. So I think you're exactly right. I think it's just kind of how that gets distributed.
Yeah. And kind of asking, and also like why they left for each role. Like, what are they frequent job hoppers?
Yeah.
Or are they following through a career path? I guess you can go so deep, into any discipline, which is why I really appreciate, smart people with different geniuses in different area. Like, it's like, man, please let me be the dumbest person. Let me learn from you.
Well, I mean, that's the way to do it. They always say, I mean, if you're ever the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. I mean, I feel like that's always the best way to do it, is just go in and listen and soak up as much as you can. Yeah,
absolutely.
And so was hiring one of the biggest early hurdles when you started Real Estate IQ, or was there something else?
I would say the biggest hurdle in the beginning is finding product market fit. And I think it's really important, because until you have that, you're not that fundable. unless you are a repeat founder, like you already had successful exits,
Sure.
and you have a proven track record. But in the beginning, unless you have a product that sells itself, it's hard to convince somebody else to bet on you. I would, well, maybe the biggest struggle was like being fundable, but the first mini struggle was finding the MVP. We had to do so many pivots to find out and fine tune who our core clients are, especially for this niche market that we're in, while we kind of work towards the mass market approach.
And that's a great jumping off point. So how many times do you think you guys did pivot or slightly tweak that MVP while you were trying to find some market fit?
Yeah. Let me share the story and then let's count, right? Let's count how many.
I'll keep a tally. Go ahead.
So, in the beginning, we, had this, demo tool called MLS Deal Finder.
Okay.
And actually, another one that runs, CMAs, which is, market valuation, algorithm that, the computer figures it out, to a certain percentage of confidence, kind of like the Zestimate.
Wow. Okay.
But so the hypothesis was real estate agents will love this. They're going to save them so much time from a productivity standpoint. I think after like almost a year, we realized this is not happening. Like we're losing more clients, than we are able to obtain them. We're kind of stagnant, I guess. We were probably at like maybe 20 clients or so. At the same time, the people that really sign up is the MLS Deal Finder, which finds deals that are currently for sale, on the market. And what we also learned is that these real estate agents are also working for real estate investors. So, in the beginning, because product market fit is so important, like we're always thinking about ways that the product can be viral. And so we want to work with clients that want to share the tool with others. But here, we have a little bit of a friction problem where the real estate agents, they are using the tool as a competitive tool. I have it, so nobody else can have it.
Yeah.
So we had that roadblock.
Yeah.
We also had technological, like there are some compliances we have to follow when it comes to that kind of information. So the first big pivot that we did was targeting real estate investors instead, because we thought that the community for real estate investors are a little more viral, and it turned out it was correct.
Okay. And so, did you guys get that product market feedback by meeting one-on-one, talking through it? Really nurturing those first customers? I mean, was there a process that you went through that was kind of repetitive for trying to identify a market fit?
Yeah. And I think it's about rolling up our sleeves and really talking to our prospective clients, kind of setting up the demo, in the future, when you find the product market fit, you can hire out that particular job. But in the beginning, you got to talk to your clients. Like, you got to know like how to use the product, all the bugs that's happening in the product. You show them how to navigate around it.
Right. Don't click this. That's not ready yet.
So we had a lot of support from our initial clients. I must say, a lot of patience,
Nice.
and also because I think it was solving a big enough problem. Like because if you can find a deal that's under market value, you can acquire real estate under market value. You stand to gain a good, 6-figure, windfall, right? Six-figure could be 7-figure. We do not work with, folks that are, in this kind of 7-figure, not that many, but a lot of 6-figure, a lot of 5 figures.
Wow.
So, what our clients do when they now have a deal flow is now they have a consistent, cause you don't need a lot of deals to earn a pretty good, annual income for your business.
Wow. So what was one of the first big wins that you guys got? It doesn't matter which pivot. Doesn't matter which pivot. Just after you started Real Estate IQ, you guys are going down the road, moving everything forward. What were some of those first initial wins that just kind of helped let you know whether this is it or not? We're moving in the right direction.
I think it's when people start telling each other about our product. Our initial product that we led with, actually, after we change to market to real estate investors, we realized that's not a very good product. It wasn't a very strong product because there's not a lot of deals that are on the market. There's another play for that particular technology, I guess. But to hit that market, we ended up doing a lot of data mining. We started actually a data mining operation that mines the houses that are not currently they're not currently for sale, but we have life-changing information that tells us that they're going to be likely to sell the house.
Wow.
And that turned out to be the best seller, and people started referring each other to us. And it was talk about like a tornado, being in a tornado. I think when we found that, it was truly a tornado. It was just like, oh my gosh, it was just trying to keep it together.
Just trying to keep it together. Yeah. Wow. So what's next for Real Estate IQ? Where do you see you guys in the next 5 years?
Oh, great question, David. I think we see ourselves as a community. I think what I see is, after the pandemic, there's a lot less in-person connection, and also kind of support for each other. We're just not seeing each other as much. And so when you find somebody, what I was craving for? I was craving for folks that are looking out for my best interests for different things. Like I have a neighbor who's also a family man, right? Family man, and we have certain things that we understand because we go through this together, and there's that strong bond.
Right.
But that doesn't hit all the spots. Like, so when I'm in business, like I would need somebody to like also like, oh, okay, yeah, we worry about this stuff. Like we understand, like we can joke about it.
Right.
So I was hoping to start building this community where we can enable that. Everybody can share what we know and what we have found out, right? Because there's a lot of research sometimes that goes out, and even if it doesn't work, there's some value, like, oh, this is what I learned that didn't work. I think we exchange a lot of that information, save us a lot of time. And kind of talking about being the dumbest person in the room, so we take turns. Everybody can share their genius. But also everybody can just sit back and like learn from everybody. So we're starting a level up club, actually, David. That's what's new with us.
Nice.
And it's gonna start this Thursday at lunchtime. It's gonna be our first one, and we're gonna talk a little bit about the founder's journey and some neuroscience, I think. And really, it's about the folks that are in the room. Like, you can probably teach us a lot about branding. Setting up all these targeting ads. I see you everywhere.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think you're right on it. It's building that community. Once you've established what that product or service is, now it's how do you build that community of raving fans, of like-minded people, of everybody else that can collectively get bigger and collectively get smarter, because then you're all moving in one direction, and it just organically starts to flow like that.
Yeah, during the pandemic, we experienced a very big surge in our user because at the time, there's a lot of uncertainty and there was a lot of money being printed out.
Yeah.
So all that money needs to go in somewhere. It went to cryptocurrency, right? It went to all these places and creating all these bubbles.
Yeah.
We also have had a lot of attention and a lot of clients are joining. But what we learned is that it's not just about the number of clients, but it's about the quality of the client, and really helping them be very successful. I really embrace the lifetime, relationship, like kind of lifetime based approach. Like if they are part of the community, that's lifetime. A product, they can outgrow a product, but it would be harder to outgrow a community if you're getting a lot of, resources and a lot of help from that community. So that's kind of what I'm hoping.
And And I love that.
Right
I
now.
love that piece that you just talked about. You know, whatever it is, somebody can outgrow a product, but they don't typically outgrow a community. And I think that that's where so many businesses just kind of don't think in those terms, or they miss the mark. You know, it's so product focused. It's so, hey, here's our offering toward you. Please don't leave our offering. It's not, here's what we provide to make your life better. But not only that, you're now part of what we're doing. You're part of us and we're part of you. You know, I mean, and I don't think a lot of companies think like that or focus intentionally to build that type of community.
And David, let me tell you this. I think that was a maybe a lesson, along that path. It was, we were thinking, man, we want lifetime clients. Like, so we were just like, hey, what do you guys need? And we were developing a lot of features to enable their growth. And what we learned is that we need a core product because it's already successful. It has MVP piece. And then these folks that are actually growing, we can actually earn more dollars because the lifetime value could be much higher.
For sure.
And more on a consulting basis, because they truly outgrew our current product, and then we're like, it doesn't make sense now because this product is good. Like it is what it is. Let's build something else for them.
Yeah.
So in the interest of serving these successful clients, we decided that community is the way to go. There's no other way.
I love that. And so last two questions before I get you out of here. Number one, what book are you reading now? I know that the people just listening to this on a podcast won't see the big, awesome bookshelf behind you, but what are you diving into now? And second question is, how can people follow you? How can people keep up with you? And how can people keep up with Real Estate IQ?
Oh, thank you. The book I'm reading now, I'm actually in between books because we're in the end of the second quarter. I'm kind of opening up some space to think.
Nice.
But I just finished this humor book. Humor, seriously? Have you seen that?
I haven't.
Oh, I think it's some kind of it's a book from two Stanford professors, I believe, and they were, or maybe it's business professors, and they were looking about the impact of having humor in culture and leadership and all that. So
Nice.
obviously, I haven't learned anything. I just absorbed it. I don't know how to practice that yet.
Nice. Well, I'll make sure to link that in the description below as soon
Absolutely.
as all of this is published, so people can check that out too. And then, so how can people keep up with you? How can people keep up with Real Estate IQ?
Yeah, so I'm pretty active on Facebook and LinkedIn. I do pretty regular posts on entrepreneurship and kind of the mindset piece. So you can follow me either on Facebook or LinkedIn. My handle is the Steve Liang in all the major social media
places.
Platforms.
Nice.
Some I'm more active, some I'm not.
All right. Well, Steve, like I said, I'll make sure to have all that linked so that people can keep up with you, keep up with Real Estate IQ. Make sure to have your book linked as well. I really appreciate your time. Love whenever our paths do cross. I feel like I learned so much from you.
Thank you. Same.
Best of luck with everything that you've got going on, and can't wait to keep up with it.
I appreciate you for having me, David.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to like the video and comment. I love to interact. And as always, be sure to subscribe to the channel.